The Porsche Kremer K3. Now the Kremer K3 is my all-time favourite race car. Now you can't mention the K3 without discussing its victory at Le Mans in 1979, piloted by Klaus Ludwig and the Whittington brothers. Now for you guys who don't know who the Whittington brothers are, let's just say they have a very, very interesting story, and with all the car movies being made at the moment, I'm surprised no one's made a movie on their life, because it's definitely a film I'd pay to watch. Anyway, back to Le Mans 1979. With the factory 936s now out of the race, it's left to the privateer teams to bring a victory back for Porsche. Now, 3 hours left of the race. Kremer Racing are leading in the number 41 car, driven by Don Whittington. They have a 16-lap lead over the Dick Barber Racing car, so everything all looks good. However, disaster strikes, the ignition belt breaks, but lucky for Kremer Racing there's a spare one in the car and Don's able to fit their belt, get back on the road without losing much time because he had a strong lead. However, disaster strikes again. The same belt breaks, but this time the problem is they don't have a spare. So he's talking to the guys in the pit saying, what should we do? How are we going to get around this? There's talks about them actually going around and trying to sneak him an ignition belt and just saying there was one in the car after all, but they just didn't want to risk it because a 936 was already disqualified for outside help. So what he did have in the car, he did have an alternator belt. And while the guys are on the radio to him, they have an engine in their workshop. So what they do, they try to fit the belt themselves, alternator belt to the ignition, and they manage to do it. So they're talking him through it. It's pouring with rain. He's underneath the car in puddles. He's able to do it, get the car running, and it's running rough as you can imagine because the timing's out, but it's just enough to get him into the pits. So while he's in the pits, he's there for about an hour, and as you can imagine, the Dick Barber Racing car is actually catching them up quite quickly. But lucky for Kremer, they definitely had luck on their side, because the Dick Barber Racing car had its own mechanical failure and was in the pits for 5 laps, which meant that Kremer was able to get the car ready, get it out, and they won it. They won Le Mans in 1979, which was a huge win for Kremer Racing.